From the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development, this is Tennessee Workforce Today. Here now is Chris Cannon.
Hi everyone, and thanks for joining us. One of the first things Governor Bill Lee did when he took office in January was sign Executive Order Number 1. The order mandated each state agency assess and then come up with a plan to better serve the state's rural and distressed counties. During the August Tennessee Workforce Development Board meeting, the board announced it would invest $3 million to help bolster workforce development in Tennessee's distressed and at-risk counties. That money is now going out to those communities. Denise Thomas is the Deputy Commissioner for Workforce Learning and Development. Denise, thanks for joining us today. Back in the summer, the Commissioner went on a tour of almost all the distressed counties in the state, and you were along on that tour. What was a recurring theme you heard when we had those town hall meetings?
So, Chris, we heard the same thing over and over again. It was workforce. Not enough workforce, ways to get folks in those rural communities trained and access to higher paying jobs. That was a common thread we heard. And also, how do we get labor force participation up in those areas as well?
Let's take a look now at the counties that are receiving these grants and kind of go over why it is so important to invest in these counties and what makes them different from a workforce development standpoint from a Davidson County and a Knox County.
Sure. Our rural counties are filled with individuals who are hardworking and dedicated and who really need an opportunity to access jobs that have opportunities for advancement so they can take care of themselves and their families. But when we look at the demography and geography challenges that those rural communities have, oftentimes there needs to be a little bit of a spur into the right direction with workforce development. So looking at ways to counteract some barriers such as transportation, which oftentimes will prevent someone from being able to take access of higher education opportunities or even some of the employment opportunities, being able to build programs to reduce those barriers, increase access to those programs can help them gain entry into the workforce system.
When you're taking a look at the grant applications you got from these different communities, what were you looking for? What did you need to see exactly what they needed and how that was going to help that area?
Well, one of the things we looked at, Chris, was to make sure that this was something that could be evaluated. We didn't just want to fund programs that were designed on paper to help a rural community, but there was no real meat or no real evaluation to see if it worked. So we were looking for investments into education, into work-based training, whether that was on-the-job training or whatever that may be, to really give a jump start. You know, delayed action for these programs are not what we were really interested in. We wanted something that could be ramped up very quickly so residents can start to take advantage of it sooner than later.
Let's take a look at it and go over some of the programs here. Reentry was a big program, and that's also high on the list for Governor Lee.
Absolutely. We know reentry matters to our governor, and it matters to us across the state. So when we talk about getting up labor force participation to a healthy number, part of that is realizing the opportunity of the pipeline that's really sitting inside of facilities. And so being able to design programming to help those that are incarcerated get access to training and get skills prior to reentry really gives us a pipeline immediately into employment, which is what we can hope for with reentry.
And what is the Skill Up program? I know several communities are going to have that.
Yes, so Skill Up program is one that we're so proud of because we get to leverage that with investments from the three-star grants from ECD. It's really giving these kids an opportunity for career exploration, work-based learning, and a pathway into employment. And so we're happy to come alongside work of other agencies to really build out Skill Up. So these funds will allow greater cohorts, bigger cohorts of students to take place, and also provide some transportation to assist as well.
And work-based learning?
Work-based learning is important. You know, our kids need to look, touch, and feel work. So by expanding work-based learning, we're able to take these students and really leave the traditional classroom and go to work on the floors of some of these manufacturing environments or others to really gain that valuable experience.
And incumbent worker training, that's another important one.
Yes, incumbent worker training is important. You know, we think a lot about the workforce participants here, but let's talk about the businesses as well. A lot of these companies have committed to being in rural communities, and we want them to know we support them as well. So by investing additionally into incumbent worker, we can ensure that they keep the quality workforce that they need by upskilling them within an employer community, and so that's important as well.
So this really is a $3 million plus shot in the arm for these communities, but every day of the year, the department's already there providing services, and those are services people can access right away.
Absolutely. It doesn't take a special funding request to take advantage of these. We have American Job Centers interwoven really throughout these communities. If it's not a standalone facility, we're partnering with other agencies to bring services. We have our mobile units that do this. And so if there's any questions about how anyone can take advantage of the services, please reach out to the community that's already there.
All right, Denise, some great information. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Chris.
And that's our time for this episode of Tennessee Workforce Today. You can catch another new episode on the first and third Monday of the month at 10 a.m. Central. For everyone at the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development, I'm Chris Cannon. We'll see you next time.